As early as 1928, the communists declared that the racial differences among our people constituted the weakest and most vulnerable point in our social fabric. By constantly probing and straining at this one spot, they calculated that eventually the cloth could be torn apart and that Americans could be divided, weakened, and perhaps even set against each other in open combat. We mustn't kid ourselves into thinking that the communists have placed their agitators only into the black communities. They're working both sides of the street. They want hatred, violence, and bloodshed between the races, and they don't care how they get it or whom they use, even children if necessary. That the communist blueprint calls also for white retaliation and violence in the black communities. It's a very important objective for the Communist Party. So far, they've only been able to involve a small percentage of our Negro people in this war of national liberation. The great majority want no part of it in any form. But the one sure way to change that is to have white vigilante groups striking into the Negro sections, supposedly to seek revenge. Ladies and gentlemen, the plans and preparations for a communist revolution of force and violence are far advanced. The organization behind these preparations has almost unlimited financial resources, and it provides both training and leadership based upon years of experience in many other countries. Our enemies are deadly serious about their task, and it's nothing short of national suicide for us to continue to ignore their plans and their progress. The strategy of the proletarian revolution calls for the quiet conversion of our government into a communist regime, but under the banner of socialism. Well, what is socialism? All right, let's define it. According to the dictionary, socialism is a political concept based upon the principle of government ownership and control of property, the means of production, and the avenues of commerce. Under socialism, those who run the government, and the communists are confident that in America they eventually will be the ones who do so. Those who run the government will know who is to get something and who has to wait. And that represents control over human beings. What has all this to do with the communist revolution in America? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has everything to do with it, because the building of socialism is the communist revolution in America. It represents the process whereby our country can be moved gradually toward communism without the people even being aware of it. No matter what grievance we may have, real or imagined, no matter what national problems we may face, the communists seize upon these as excuses to build socialism. They have one and only one solution for all problems: more government, and then more and more until it's total government. And forgive me for saying it one more time, total government is communism.
What is the true nature of this organization? I asked Craig Williamson, a former South African intelligence service officer who spent 10 years as a member of the South African Communist Party, working closely with the ANC, many of whose leaders he came to know personally.
Nicholas, the answer is that the ANC is a terrorist organization, an international terrorist organization, exactly the same as organizations such as the IRA, the PLO, the Red Brigades, and the Bader-Meinhof gang. It is an organization made up of people such as the Joe Slovos of the world, people who have been trained in the Soviet Union as international terrorists, have been trained in Cuba, and have been trained in the Middle East to carry out the most horrendous acts of violence that I have ever seen in my life.
The ANC strategy was out to intimidate black moderate leaders. When the riots started and the violence escalated in the townships, the people who were targets were all professional blacks: teachers, doctors, lawyers, black businessmen. This was the reason why most of the black businesses in the townships were burnt down, and only those blacks who decided to fall in line with them were their businesses saved. And besides that, the strategy of intimidation was such that to scare the other people into the fold of the United Democratic Front and the ANC Lager.
So that if you were a city councillor in Soweto, you got killed, or if you were wise, you resigned. So there are no councils looking after the roads or doing anything in the city.
All moderates are targets. This has been set up by the ANC themselves, that the black moderates should be eliminated so that they should make way for radical leadership. All of us are targets. We live in fear. We have to shunt around our children from school to school sometimes. We don't travel on the same road twice in the township. This is just normal with us in the township. All of us, we know it may just may happen.
Now they are the ones who have invented the terror method of necklacing.
In this barbaric way of reprisal, a tire is filled with kerosene or gasoline, placed around the neck of an alleged collaborator, and ignited. The victim may be a black policeman, a teacher, a soldier, a civil servant. It makes no difference. The atrocity is designed to terrorize blacks into ending all racial cooperation and to polarize South Africa as prelude to a final climactic struggle for power.
Now, Franklin Sonn, who is the leader of the Cape Colour, who's the principal of a polytechnic, an outstanding man, had said long before a simple thing which I think has to get into Western skulls, and I think it has to get into Oliver Tambo's skull, and that is people who dance on charred corpses have nothing whatever to offer South Africa. But what they are trying to do, or the people behind them are trying to do, because they're mostly ignorant high school dropouts, is to stop anybody having any conversations to make any kind of settlement with the South African government.
Even after the most preliminary examination of the facts, it is beyond reasonable doubt that the ANC is but one element in black South African politics. Many and various spokesmen for non-violent change were to be found.